Okay, today we are going to submit the new deal to Fortify Admin. This is required within 24 hours of being executed. There's a reminder of all of your important documents, and then anything additional that, depending on your specific property deal, might be included. So there's reminders for those as well. If you're logged in under your personal email, whatever, it might be a different Gmail account, you can switch that account here because you definitely want to make sure that you get a record of your submission. All right, you enter your agent name, you check which office location, you enter the full property address. You want to make sure that everything you're inputting here is accurate and correct. Select the property type. If it's your listing, if you're the listing agent and this is a new contract, you would select listing under contract. If it's a single family home, if it's commercial or a different type of offer and it's vacant land. Also important if it's a condo with a condo association or a mobile home or new construction. So keep that in mind. Property type is important because it will trigger certain documents that will need to be uploaded later. We need the first name, last name for every buyer or seller, whoever your client is, involved in the deal. We need accurate email addresses for them, and we need accurate phone numbers. If you only have one phone number or one email address that both buyers on your contract use, that's fine, but the more information, the better. If you're the listing agent and the buyer isn't your contact, you would put that buyer name here. If it's Zillow Flex preferred lead, we need to know very specifically. So you answer yes, and then it would correlate down here in the source. If it's from another source, you'd say no, and it may be your own lead. So there's a self/sphere button. If it's a lead source that isn't listed, then you'll check other and you'll fill in the blank here. The execution date. Now, you're going to select whatever date is your accurate execution date because it's very important. Say your buyer signs on Monday the 6th, but your seller didn't sign until the 7th and you didn't receive it back from the seller's agent until Wednesday. Wednesday, the date that both parties, buyer and seller side, have the fully signed documents, that's your execution date. Inspection end date. Not the same thing as when your inspection is scheduled for, the end date of your inspection period. So we always recommend 10 days. So let's say our execution date was the 8th. 10 days would take us to the 18th. Execution date is day 0. The following day is day 1. 10 days actually falls on the weekend. So your inspection end date can't end on the weekend or a holiday. So it would roll over to the following Monday. So in this case, it does buy you a little bit of time. Say your inspection period is shorter, some reason you had to negotiate for a 7-day inspection period window. Execution date would be day 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then if you have the 7-day inspection period, the 15th would be your inspection end date. And then closing date, again, whatever is on your contract that you negotiated. I recommend having all of your documents handy so you can reference your contract as you're pulling this information into the new deal so you know everything is accurate. You're going to enter your purchase price exactly as it matches your contract details. Title company, we have to have the company name, the contact name, an email address, and the phone number. At a minimum, we need an email address so we can get these docs over to the title company. If the listing agent didn't already provide it in the contract or in MLS, then you're going to have asked the listing agent specifically to send you the title contact information. Same thing goes for the lender. We need the company, the contact, the email, and the phone number. Easy enough. You can usually get it from the pre-approval. If you've taken our recommendations, you've already talked to the lender, you may have emails back and forth, you can easily copy and paste that contact info. But again, company, name, email address, and a phone number is needed. And whoever the other realtor is involved in the deal, same information is needed. Now we're moving on to details about the specific deal with the loan parameters and commission. So we need to know what type of loan. We need to know who is paying the KW $495 fee. If it's the buyer, which is most common, easy enough, our buyer pays the fee. If for some reason it's coming out of the, say you're the listing agent and it's coming out of the buyer agent commission, you would check this. If I'm the buyer's agent and I'm going to pay it for my client, I would check self. If the seller's paying for it, then you check seller. Every once in a while, you'll come across a scenario where a new construction lender or a VA financing absolutely refuses to allow that compensation transaction fee to be included. If that's the case, we have to have documentation for that to get it approved by compliance, but you would check that. 9 times out of 10, your buyer's going to pay their own fee. So moving on to the showing assistant fee or agent referral. So say I used one of the showing assistants on the Fortified team, that's typically a 10% referral. You'd put the amount and the agent involved here. Say that this is maybe a referral from someone you know in the Panhandle and they don't do business here. So whoever that is, maybe you have a referral agreement and they said a 25% referral. You'd put the referring agent's name here. Moving on to commission, it's very important. We need to know the total of your commission that you are accepting. So you put the total here, and then we need to know very specifically who is paying it. If it's the seller's broker, the buyer, or if it's going to be a combination, we need to know. Then you hit next. Now, another question, who are you representing? What is the type of the deal? This is important that you answer this properly because it does trigger different uploaded documents. So if you're a buyer's agent, click buyer. If it's a new construction though, you'll click new construction. If you're a seller's agent, click seller. If you're representing the buyer and the seller for a pre-existing home, click buyer and seller. Usually we'll be a buyer's agent. If it's new construction though, however, be specific. So in the notes to admin, this is, you want to let them know if there's anything out of the ordinary for the deal, or if there's a document pending like the flood disclosure or the seller disclosure. You would put that here. Is on the way. Whatever it might be, you'll put it there. You'll click next. Now it's coming to the portion where we upload the files. So I selected new construction, so it's prompting me for new construction docs. We're going to go back, act as though I'm the buyer's agent for a pre-existing home. So now it's going to prompt me to upload the standard contract docs. So you click add file. We're going to go looking for our purchase agreement. If you have them in your Google Drive, that's great because it's easy to access them there. Or a lot of times I'll email the docs, I'll download the documents that the listing agent has emailed back to me for my buyer's deal. And then I save it to a property folder on my desktop so I can find everything related to that deal fairly quickly. So found my as is contract, click open, it's uploaded. Moving on to FF Writer. And it didn't want to attach. We're going to try it again. There we go. Now the FF Writer is uploading. Keep in mind, if you don't use the FF Writer and instead your deal has an executed compensation agreement, that's where this would be uploaded. If you do have to upload the compensation agreement, a GG Writer is going to be required. So we're going to keep uploading our necessary documents, looking for the EBBA. Hopefully your computer won't prompt you to do everything twice. We let admin know that the flood disclosure is pending. The seller hasn't sent it yet. You're going to want to get that during the inspection window. Or if you already have it, fabulous, you'll go ahead and attach it. And then you just keep moving forward. Again, I use the FF Writer because I like drafting one document instead of two. But if for some reason you use a compensation agreement, then you're going to have that GG Writer to upload. Upload your seller property disclosure if you already have it. If not, make sure your buyer reviews it and signs during inspection period and that you email later that document to admin. We're going to need our approval letter. because we want everything related to this deal to be in the KW compliance folder. Anything additional beyond the bare minimum required docs. So if it's an FHA loan, if there's post-closing occupancy, whatever it might be, an HOA rider. Not every home's in an HOA, so it's not always going to be required. You're going to upload those in this section, even a short sale addendum, whatever it might be, it goes in this section. If it's executed, admin needs it to save and send in for compliance. Okay, we're moving on. All right, we've uploaded all of our documents. The last question you're going to get is, are you receiving a different compensation amount than the original EBBA? Yes, I have an EBBA modification, or no, the compensation amount is the same and one party is paying the entire commission. If no, you click no, hit next, then you'll come to a submit window. Boom, you get a copy. All of Fortify gets a copy, and everyone picks up their task and gets moving. If yes, click yes, hit next. It'll prompt you to upload that modification, and it'll ask you specifically who's paying what. Now, say it may be a scenario where your original EBBA was for 3%, but the seller insists they'll only pay 2.5%, and your buyer doesn't have the means to contribute. You need to be specific and break down what's different. Say it's not just the EBBA number changed. Maybe your buyer can pay the difference, so your total commission is still 3%. However, we need to document and know specifically who's paying what. So in this instance, that's when we're going to go and upload that modification. So once you're done with that, you hit submit, and then everyone gets a copy of that new deal. Again, that's very important. It happens within the first 24 hours of you going executed, and that you have everything in here accurate, because everyone on the Fortify staff receives this document, and it's what triggers title, lender, everyone getting executed documents, and the next steps in your contract to close process.